Rad Parenting. Joe here.
Here we are.
Anea.
We're back.
We got to give a shout out to our show's producer, Kevin. He is scrambling right now to get Radiohead tickets.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
so
amazing.
impressed by him. I might have to poach him at some point. Bring him
cannot,
over to my office.
You cannot take the people that work here and take them to your office. It's funny having him in here because we started talking about today's topic on the show. We came in here with one topic, and I started telling you about something that just happened to me literally today.
Which you're going to share with everyone.
Yeah, which I'll share with you guys. I'll just jump right into it. Today's show is about something I just went through. I went through it with my son, where my son's about to be 12, and he's just, I love this dude more than anybody. He's my bro.
Yeah.
And I hug him all the time, and I grab his little head and just kissing him, and just like I've always done my entire life, right? Mm-hmm. We're driving to school this morning, and he's kind of in a mood, and I go, "What's up, man?" And talking and just doing what I'm always doing. I got the coffee going, the music on, and I can just feel him just like it felt like he wanted to open the door of the Prius and jump out. You know when you pick up on an energy, you're like,
yes.
This guy does not want to be around me, and I felt it a little bit here and there, but then we've always just been buddies, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, we do everything together, and I just pried it out of him. I kept talking to him and being cool, not getting angry, because I remember sometimes when I wouldn't talk to my dad, he would just be like, "What's the problem here?" And I'd be like, "Dad, I don't know," and then I just was like,
there wasn't a problem until you started yelling at me.
Yeah, and then. But now I respect my dad so much because I know that energy. You're mm-hmm. like, dude, I'm just driving you to school. It's a great day. I'm excited. I love driving you to school. And then I finally got out. I'm like, what's up? And he just unloaded. And he goes, what's wrong is you're kissing me all the time and hugging me, and it's too much. And all these little nicknames you call me. And as he's talking, it was almost like he went silent. And in my head, I was like, it's over. It's done.
My little boy's gone.
I literally was like...
He's left the building.
Yeah, literally. Literally, that's all I could think of. And I even know what light I was at on the way to school. I was like right there. And I mentally took a picture and said, I will always remember this day, March 19th, 2016, where my little guy that I hug and just love so much said, "No, enough, back up. I'm a man now, or I want to be a man."
Yeah.
And I gotta say,
you're not so cool anymore, Dad.
Oh my God, he told me straight up, "You're gross. You're gross. You're gross. You got coffee breath. Oh my God, back up a little bit." And I'm like, and you know what? By being a dad, I've been told I'm gross enough. Any other dads? Have you guys ever been told you're gross? Did you ever?
I get weirdo a lot.
Okay. Because I don't know if women are gross, I don't know if mom's
I generally
gross.
think we're not gross, but
I
get weirdo.
I'm gross. I get it. There's a lot of hair going from different areas now in my life that I didn't know. I get the ear hair, and my daughter would be like, "Oh my God!" Like the other day, I had no shirt on at the house, and my wife goes, "Joe, what are you doing? Put a shirt on if you want to have a relationship with your kids."
Oh, no.
And I was like, "Are we at that point?" She's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Sorry." So today's show is this moment of time that all of us, and maybe you might say we don't all go through it, but this moment in time where our little bundles of huggy and love and joy are turning into teenagers and turning into people and individuals. And I'll be honest with you, it's hard for me to let go of that whole era. It's like my favorite era of a band.
Yeah.
Like I love the first and second Clash record, and then later, they made Cut the Crap at the very end. Or okay, Stones fans, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not a Steel Wheels fan. You're like, you're into the early version of the Stones.
But don't you think? I mean, with my children, I always sort of lamented when I as they move through each phase, right? You're like, oh, but I really liked it when she couldn't pronounce all her words perfectly. It was so cute, or it was really sweet when she always wanted to just cuddle up to me, or I could rock her on the rocking chair. But what I have found, and because I've got a big span, right, 19 and 7, I have realized that every stage, as much as I miss the last, brings something new and really awesome. But what you're talking about is even, I think, something a little bit deeper than that. And that is watching our kids really move from thinking we essentially walk on water and can do no wrong. And the kind of, the nice little, hit that we get from that. Like, oh my gosh, I feel so loved unconditionally. Like even when things are sideways with our partners on the day to day, we just know our kids are going to love us unconditionally. So this is a really important time. Important, for us as parents in order to help our children, because what your son is going through is he's becoming an individual in his own right. And in order for him to be able to do that, we've talked about this before, he needs space with guidelines, right? So that he's going to be safe exploring, but he absolutely has to have space to figure out who he is. Otherwise, the whole gross thing now is going to become full-on resentment if you try to get in the way of his ability to do that.
I'm writing that down. It can go from gross to resentment. Okay, I don't want resentment.
Yes. Yeah.
I need to ask this. When we're in this stage with our kids, and as much as I'm feeling that energy from them, can they pick up on the energy from me, that I don't want them to change? Can they pick up on this? I just want everything to stay the same forever. And okay, what does that do to the development of a kid?
Okay, so I think that in general, and we can even think about it as adults, right? When we're around people, our friends, family members that really dig who we are and give us this sort of space. And I don't just mean like physical space, like they're not on top of us. I mean like, I really dig who you are, and they communicate that. It kind of inspires you to want to continue to, be your best. And with our kids, if we communicate to them, like, I kind of don't like the fact that you want to be so independent, or that, you don't want me to hug you, or, you're developing your own way of thinking or your own taste in music or whatever, they are going to just clam up and find the people that do allow them to be themselves. So if we as parents want to continue to have a healthy, relatively close relationship with our kids, even through adolescence, when they really need us to be there in just a slightly different way, we have to embrace that change and not resist it or give them negative feedback or shame them. There's that word again. Otherwise, they're just gonna like remove themselves altogether.
And I'll tell you right now, what you're describing is the hardest thing ever. It's like, they still need us there to know that we're there for security, and only probably mentally, like subconsciously, okay, I know my dad's somewhere in the background hiding, monitoring what I'm doing, but I also want to be myself.
Yeah.
So you're pushed away. It's the classic thing. Hey, drop me off down the street before we go to school. I haven't gotten to that point, but I've heard other parents say that. Don't tell me you love me when you drop me off, all of those things. That to me is such a balancing act, because I'll be honest, and I'm going to be totally straight, it crushes my ego.
Yeah.
It just kills me. It's also a trigger for me. I don't know what it is, but I remember with my own dad, we would spend so much time together, and even when I fully dove headfirst into punk rock and he would drive me to shows in the Volvo, and I'd get out of the car with like a mohawk, or my friends with spiky hair, and he'd go, all right, and I would still yell back, I love you, Dad, and we had that still back and forth. I'm not that yet way with my kids, but I guess what you're saying is that if I maybe pressure them too much to not have this change occur, it goes from gross to resentment.
Well, yeah. And in fact, I think that, there was, and I don't know enough about your relationship between you and your dad, but even you describing that, like him dropping you off at a concert with a mohawk, like that in itself says you were being an individual, and he was not only giving you space to be like, okay, I guess if you want to wear your hair in a mohawk, and I'll even drive you to the gig that you're going to do. I
always joke around, after you have kids, you respect and love your parents so much. And I recently told my dad, I cannot believe that every day you didn't just hit me in the side of the head and just scream, what is going on with you? He would let me do literally and look any way that I wanted. And maybe that was where...
Huge.
Maybe that is the thing that I developed with him, that relationship where I really did feel that he was allowing me to grow and be who I was.
Yes.
And now I'm having to do that, and I'm telling you, I'm not good at it.
Okay, so you're good. So this is gonna help everybody, and you're gonna be better after this. So
I can tell you right now, a lot of parents that are listening, I know I'm not alone, because I talk to parents, at schools or whatever, at the drop off.
Yeah.
And we're all feeling it.
So that feeling of like, oh, oh no, what's happening? And that internal resistance and like the ego thing, all of these things are natural. We're human first and foremost, right? So that's okay for us as parents to be feeling that. What's not okay, and maybe what I should say instead is the way that we can handle this best so that we actually get what we want out of this situation is to check our egos, which is always a number one rule of parenting,
We've
right?
been saying that since the first show.
Exactly.
I think our first show you said, check your ego at the door.
Absolutely, because I think that's a number one rule of parenting, which means don't take their behavior personally. It is not about you. It's about them saying, I want to be me. I want to figure out who I am, right? And then, and in order to do that, it means that even when, like, you with the mohawk, your dad could have been like, hell no. Like, what are you thinking? And instead, he was like, this has nothing to do with me. This is how Joe wants to wear his hair.
He used to bribe me, though. That's the only thing. Dad, if you're listening, he used to say to me, I remember midterms would come around. I'd want to go see Bad Religion. He'd go, hey, that algebra midterm, if you want to go see Bad Religion, B stands for Bad Religion, Joey. And I have to get a B on a midterm.
I love it. But he was encouraging you to be a better version of yourself, not asking you to limit your behavior, who you were, to suit his needs. And that is it's a real key difference. When our kids start going through adolescence, and this is the second most like intensive time of development in a short period of time. So like if you think about the first year of life where babies go from being these helpless little lumps to walking and beginning to say words. So adolescence is the next really intense time of what's called individuation, becoming an individual. Who am I? Trying on different versions of yourself. It also, because there's so much growth, think of it like if you have a plant that's been in a tiny little, pot and has maybe been content there for a while and all of a sudden it's not doing so well, it probably means you're supposed to put it into a bigger pot because the roots that are growing downward need more space if it's going to continue to be healthy. So we need to think about our role as parents is I need to transplant my kid into a slightly bigger pot. And that is going to preserve a healthy, loving relationship where they continue to communicate with me. They feel like they can discover and become their truest selves. And the I love yous are going to continue to flow because they do love anybody that's allowing them to be who they are instead of limiting that, right?
Yeah, I love what you just said. The I love yous will continue to flow.
Yeah, they will.
That's all, I think at the end of the day as a parent, I didn't realize when I was going to have kids before you have them, how difficult this time would be. But I'm also realizing that our relationship with my daughter and with my son is always going to be changing. And if the best of our relationship isn't in the future, and I'm going to always be talking about the past, it's no different than when you and I think, interviewed Steve Caballero, and he said, hey, my skateboarding was at one level at that point, but I love where I'm at now because I think my best is in front of me. So I have to apply that to being a parent. And I think maybe, some of the people that are listening, that's the hardest thing to do is that you got to think about, you have all the memories of when they were little and that, the photographs and the videos. And that's one part of being a parent that was great. But now you're like, okay, we're going to the next level. Maybe the relationship of us, as you're getting older, we're going to talk about different things.
Exactly.
We're going to do different things together. One of the things that I got to ask you is, you said just a few minutes ago, you still need to be there. One of the things you said, got to recap it, check the ego. Don't take what they're saying personally. Right there, that is the biggest thing I'm taking from this conversation. I got to learn that. Don't take what they say personal because I do.
Their journey is their own.
Yeah.
We have to remember that as parents.
And if they can't be comfortable around you, if they can't be comfortable around mom and dad saying like, hey, you're gross. Like if they can't say that to you, then who can they say it to? They gotta try that out. So with that said, now this is something I tend to do is that all of a sudden I want to fix it and have this whole new relationship. So then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, not distance myself, but I'll be further in the background and we'll do completely different things together. Do you still do some of the things that the old relationship had or the early relationship when they were kids? Like I guess some of the traditional things, like you don't want to
you're not checking out.
Not checking out.
They need you. They need you. They need us as parents. They just need us in a different way. And I think part of it is, this just happened this morning, so it's fresh. And so I think the first thing that any of us needs to do when we notice this big shift is like, just take a step back, just a step, not like, oh, I'm hands off on this one. Sure. If that's what you want, we'll see how you do without me saying I love you. Like, it's not that.
That's the ego.
Right. Exactly.
That's so the
Joe,
ego right there.
Yes.
How do you know my ego? He talks like that to me. Oh, really? You don't want to do that? Well, then I'll drop you off right here. How about I never pick you up or drive you to school?
Exactly. So that needs to, talk that through with your partner, talk it through with your best friend, talk it through with, listen to Rad Parenting with one of your friends and go off. But, so don't do that, but step back and observe. Like, and you can, I think, in the spirit of continuing open lines of communication and, get ready because there's sometimes going to be eye rolls, but I think it's okay at the right moments to be like, you know what, I heard you this morning, or I heard you last week when you said that. And you know what, I'm good. I want you to be you. And you know what, I want you to tell me what you need from me. How does this need to be different?
We were driving and we had that moment of silence for a while. And as we got up and he got ready to get out of the car, I did say this to him. I go, hey man, I totally hear you loud and clear.
Nice.
And he goes, really? And he kind of looked at me and he was like, okay, cool. And then the next thing was I was like, I'm going to go to the barber today and like just trim any ear hair. And like, I'm not going to wear anything lame. I got to make sure like everything I wear is black already. Maybe I switch it up. No, but I mean, just so that he's like, for the dads out there, I'll tell you this right now. One thing I'll tell all the dads right now, that shirt that you think is cool on the weekend that you wear, and it's like from the one concert you went to like 20 years ago when you didn't have kids and you still wear that, and you're like, hey, check it out. I got my Offspring shirt on and I got my check out these shoes I have, and you think you look cool. You don't. And your kids are going to start maybe telling you that it's not, because I just dealt with it straight to the face.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm a pretty cool dad, but to your kids.
Okay. Yeah. And you know what? And the thing is, you also want to continue to be the real you, Joe, because that's also setting an example. Like, I'm going to be me and you figure out who you're going to be. Like, the thing is, I'm not telling you how you need to be and you're not going to tell me who I need to be, and because that's an important thing to model. So, but I love the way that you, in ending the little drive to school in the way that you did, saying, I hear you, or I heard you, that is going to encourage him to come back and have another conversation and feel like he can communicate openly and honestly with you about how he's feeling. And that doesn't mean there's not going to be times when he's going to come out of his face and you're going to have to be like, okay, dude, we can talk about anything, but you need to do so in a respectful way. You need to talk to me the way you'd want me to talk to you. Because this is really what's developing in their adolescent years is we're no longer just going to be, you'll always be parent and child to some degree, but this is about recognizing our children as separate, whole human beings who are developing into adulthood, and we want to do a good job at helping them to be their best selves.
Yeah, it's funny, everything you just said. And I said this a while ago. I wish I started doing this show 10 years ago. So for people that are listening to it, man, you're learning everything that I'm learning right now. But I feel, it's not too late.
If you just had a baby, you are on track.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if we need to do that. I was
not suggesting
next time,
that you do that.
Yeah, and I realized this today. The next time I'm going to be going, oh, what is up? No, and just kissing little heads, and all that is going to be when I'm a grandpa.
Yeah, I think that's why grandparents are so great. Like, if we think about our grandparents, they love the hell out of us because they have just been so starved for all that kissy, huggy stuff.
And they also know that at like 5 o'clock, mom and dad are going to come and take you out of here later. I want to thank everyone for listening to Rad Parenting, and thank you so much for this show today, Anea, because we came in with a whole other topic that we were going to tackle, and we just started talking, and I really felt that that's how this whole show came together. And it's funny doing Rad Parenting because when I'm having those moments with my son where it's not going well, or having those moments with my daughter or anything, there's times where I'm like, I feel so like, how can I be hosting a show called Rad Parenting when I'm like literally it's like the alcoholic hosting a show about not drinking, and then I'm just drinking beers while it's going on, like just so, oh my God, I'm blowing it. But the best thing about doing this is I learn something every single time I do the show with you. I want to thank all the people for listening. And do us a favor, subscribe to the podcast if you haven't. Go to iTunes. And most importantly, what do we need? We need a review.
Yes, please give us reviews if you like what you're hearing, if you find it helpful, especially, which is what our hope is. But like put it down. I mean, 2 sentences, 1 sentence, anything, we'll take it.
Seriously, we really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for listening. My name is Joe Sib.
And Anea Bogue.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Late.